I'm Kaylee, and today I'm talking about the City of Dreaming Books. I loved this book so much, mainly because it's a book about books. I think this is probably going to make it onto my list of the best books that I've read all year. Before we go into all the things that I loved about this book, be sure that you subscribe and give this video a thumbs up, and follow me over on Goodreads and Storygraph and all the places. So the City of Dreaming Books is the fourth book in the Zamonia series, but you could just read it as a standalone. You do not have to have read other books from the series. So I actually have read the 13 and a Half Lives of Captain Bluebeard, which is the first book in the series. So I do recommend maybe reading that one first. It is a great introduction to kind of the Zamonian world. But I have not read books 2 and 3, and I just jumped right ahead to book 4. So several of the books in the series kind of function as standalones within this world. Now, some of the books do have to be read in order though. So the book after this one would be the Labyrinth of Dreaming Books. So like those would have to be read in order. But if you didn't want to read the rest of the series, or if you just wanted to start with this one, you absolutely could. And this book can be read as a standalone, just completely on its own. It does not end on a cliffhanger or anything like that. It has a very satisfying ending. So in this book, we follow Optimus Yarnspinner, who is a dinosaur who has inherited a mysterious manuscript of surpassing genius, but he can't find the author. So here he is, a very elegant looking dinosaur character for our main character. So Optimus travels to Bookholm, the center of all literature and publishing, hoping to solve the mystery and find the author of this amazing genius manuscript. Everyone in Bookholm is completely obsessed with books, and the dangerous book hunters explore the catacombs beneath the city, looking for rare books that have been lost for centuries. Optimus meets many different types of creatures, including an ugly hag who can tell the future, and a nocturnomath with 3 brains. The mystery of this manuscript leads Optimus into the deadly catacombs, where he runs from harper monsters and sphinxes and massive spider creatures and cyclopean booklings, so just one eye for this little bookling, and ferocious sentient books, in addition to the evil book hunters who will murder anyone who gets in their way. But the most dangerous of all is the Shadow King, who rules over the dark catacombs. It is such a complete delight to have an entire story centered on books. I just loved hearing all about Bookholm and their obsession with books, and the entire catacombs is covered in books from centuries gone by, until the books themselves have magically evolved into sentient beings. It is just so satisfying to dive into this book-centered story. And it's full of some really fabulous illustrations. There's some good ones in there. Here's a good illustration of some booklings reading a book. The world building is really detailed and imaginative, with thousands of years of magical history, and we get to uncover these ancient mysteries little by little along with Optimus. It's just so whimsical and fun, but also addresses some serious subjects too. The plot is full of magic, mystery, betrayal, adventure, poison, and mechanical traps, and curses, and monsters, and just all kinds of whimsical and weird places. There are tons of little hidden jokes throughout the book that really had me laughing. For instance, some of the authors' names and book titles are scrambled up from the letters of real authors and books. So our main character sees a book called Sir Ginal by Doylen Cohn, which of course is actually Sir Nigel by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. And Ardelph Nenitos is really Alfred Tennyson with the letters all scrambled up. And Wamili Swordthrow is William Wordsworth. And Vatty Floppendice by Asdrell Chickens is really David Copperfield by Charles Dickens. Elo Sluty is Leo Tolstoy, and Rasko Elwide is Oscar Wilde. It's just so cute, but some of the names are just made up fictional names. Some of them are not scrambled up real names. So you have to look really closely to figure them out. Is this just a really whimsical, funny made-up name? Or is it a scrambled up real author's name? And there are a lot of little details in the beginning that become important later on, just like perfectly interlocking Lego pieces of information. So the architecture of an old building in the city is later seen in another form underground in the caves. Or a chance line from a book that's just read in a coffee shop becomes the solution to a problem later. It's just so imaginative, both in the little details and the larger scope of the story. I really loved the little bookling creatures. Their whole society is just so fascinating. They memorize entire works by different authors. And I can't even tell you all the fascinating things about the Booklings because it would be spoilers, but I just adored them so much. Now, there is quite a bit of violence in this book since Optimus is always running from monsters or the evil book hunters who are trying to murder him. And an inordinate amount of people are beheaded, like a really unnecessary amount of beheadings in this book, okay? So this book has been screened on the Screen It First website for some violence and a little bit of dark magic and some light profanity. So I'll leave a link in the description so you can go over and see exactly what sensitive content is included in this book. One of my favorite scenes is when Optimus attends a music concert in the city of Bookholm, and he is transported by the beautiful music. So he feels like he himself has become a wave of sound, perfectly in tune with the universe. That description of music was so genius. The whole writing style is really genius, and it just draws you into this impossibly wild adventure. But all the pieces start to fit together as the plot moves along. It's really fulfilling to see all those threads coming together, and every sentence is beautifully constructed like a work of art. So another favorite scene is when Optimus sets off a trap in the catacombs and a literal wave of books buries him in an avalanche. It's a churning mass of books that nearly crushes him. It's so wacky to have an actual avalanche of books when all the bookshelves go crashing down in a wave. But I also really loved the more serious scenes where the author explores the depth of influence that books have on us. The Booklings memorize so much literature that they start to take on the personality of whatever they read. And they say it affects every aspect of existence. I mean, that is just so true of a dedicated reader who is heavily influenced by what they read. So there was this one scene with the Booklings that actually had me in tears. It was so sweet and heartfelt, but I can't tell you about it because spoilers. You will just have to read the book for yourself. But you know it was a good book if it made me cry. We also explore the concept of what makes good literature. So we meet this ruthless book trader who doesn't want there to be any good literature because cheap trash makes more money and sells more copies and is easier to produce in large quantities. But truly exceptional writing takes time. So he talks about carefully controlled mediocrity. And it really speaks to the state of publishing today that publishers are not as willing to take a risk on truly good art. But they will publish anything with the right keywords to jump on a trend that sells. And they will dumb down the vocabulary to appeal to the lowest common denominator instead of raising people up to a higher level of understanding. So artistic integrity is thrown out the window in favor of money, money, money. When Optimus, through his adventures, finally encounters some truly great artistic books, he never wants to stop reading. He forgets to eat. He doesn't bathe. He barely sleeps. He just reads and reads until his eyes are bloodshot. He is wild to consume more inspired books instead of the mediocre trash that he's been reading all his life. And he is desperate to learn how to write like the great artists that he is reading. Overall, I just loved this book so much. There are so many layers to the story and all the adventures. What an absolute delight in every way. I can't wait to read more from this author, but I've heard that some of his books in this series have not yet been translated from German into English. So I'll have to go ahead and read some of the ones that are translated and maybe wait a few years for the rest. Especially in the next book in this storyline, The Labyrinth of Dreaming Books, I have heard it ends on a cliffhanger. And then the next book that would resolve the cliffhanger, it was only published in German and it has not yet been published in English, and it's been several years and it still has not been translated into English. So I do not want to start a book that's going to be a cliffhanger when the other book is not even published yet. So I think I'm just going to have to enjoy some of the other books in the series that are kind of like standalones following different characters on their own, and save more of Optimus's adventures for later on when hopefully the rest of the books get translated. Please leave me a comment and let me know, what is one of your favorite books about books? Isn't that just the best? People who really love books and are completely obsessed with books, we just love books about books. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and remember, the right book in the right hands at the right time can change the world.